80%?
87. I'm really confident.
On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, new dialogue system details, fake post, real concept, a car boot sale goldmine, a debug Xbox 360 that has a 90% complete beta build of GTA 4 on it. And May the 5th, a date for the diaries.
Pre-orders are live, plus it's new screens, trailer 3.
It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to episode 117 of GTA 6 o'clock, the world's most in-depth and best connected GTA 6 show. And in a week where Rockstar started advertising and presumably ramping up QA testing roles in Bangalore and Edinburgh, we are here to talk about all things Rockstar and GTA 6. I'm your host, James JJ Jarvis, and here in the studio with me on this lovely spring day is Dan Dawkins. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
I know you looked around there like looking for the spring day, and in fact we are in a basement, but hey.
It always looks the same in here. But
outside.
Yeah, it is nice outside.
In England, of course, where we are recording this, it is springtime. The sun is out. The days are longer. It's a very exciting, positive time. Quickly on those testing roles that we're not going to get into too much. There's been a lot of talk about these this week. Rockstar is advertising roles. They were advertising roles for associate QA testers, brackets technical, for its Edinburgh studio in the UK. That got over, surprisingly, 100 applicants in one day. 4 days after it's been posted, it is now closed.
Yeah.
So sorry if you're listening to this and you just thought, oh, that would be a dream role for me. I'd love to be an associate QA tester at Rockstar working on GTA 6. But yeah, that window is gone. Sorry. And then there's a load of roles in Bangalore for doing more specific, less specific, general gameplay testing mechanics, features, high volume bug hunting, that kind of stuff. All of which would imply that the ramp up to QA test the game is coming or has already begun. And now they're feeling the need that they need a lot more people to actually go through all of these specific things. I think all of this is positive news.
Yeah.
Like, whichever way you look at it, a whole chunk of the game now needs to be QA tested in some form. Therefore, the November 19 release date feels more set in stone because of these things. Now, as we talked about before, a lot of this could be related to other things. You know, they could be just a load of other people could have left for some reason. And now we need like 100 more QA roles. But that feels unlikely. Like, I think this is GTA 6 related. I would put my hat on it. So once we get into playing the new version of GTA Online, I may or may not have a hat.
Can we I'm going to put a specification on the hat here and say, if you were asked right now, because I'm asking, what is the likelihood of GTA 6 coming out on November the 19th as stated? Percentage-wise, where are you right now?
In hat terms,
let's forget the hat. I've taken you down
like, where did the hat bit come from?
I picked up on the hat analogy and made it go wrong. Let's talk percentages. Like all hats, you buy a 75% hat, right?
Yeah, 75% off my hat.
So what percentage? I feel like I've given you a leading number.
It's quite leading, yeah.
What number would you give? What percentage would you apply to the likelihood of the release date?
And I wonder what number you're thinking of. I could do some Darren Brown stuff. High 80% right now. I'd say I'm about 80%.
Yeah.
There's a little niggle that we'll get to at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And an area where I think, and a date specifically, where I think that will either go up or down. But right now, 80% confident that it's coming out.
Yeah. I'm going to say my number. And I think actually initially I was so bullish on it. I was going to say 9, but no. That's too crazy.
Okay,
experience teaches me I have to hedge my bets by saying something weedy like 87. I'm really confident. I feel like it's everything is aligning until it doesn't. But right now, I feel like everything is aligning.
Interesting that you were going to be a 9 and then just dropped 3% off. Where did the 3% go? Is he just like 87 as a number?
I'm an eternal hedger. So I feel like that's something I would just do. I would say emotion says this, practical
-3
says this, -3. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll take -3% off any degree of happiness I feel. I always shave off 3% just in case.
Okay, cool.
In case it's fake happiness.
Yeah. It sounds like it's some kind of negotiation thing.
I feel like this is my novel, the -3% book.
I'd like that if you were also applying it to other things in your life. Like you're going in to buy a car, going like, I know that is the number, but I'm going to need 3% off.
Yeah, that feels a bit low. I think with a car, I'd be asking for like 10 to 20. But the nature of car dealerships has changed. I digress. For now, 87%.
Okay, put that stamp on there. Right. Let's talk about the big discussion topic for this week, or in fact, last week, depending on when you were picking up on this news, is there has been a new dialogue system, which has supposedly been revealed via a Reddit post. Now, big caveat up front. This is entirely unverifiable. Let's say that up top. In fact, the Reddit post even says, and I quote, "Throwaway, not verifying anything. I'm not replying to DMs." So already they're going to go, I'm going to throw this grenade in here. It's going to go off and then I'm just going to watch and see what happens. So the Reddit post in question states, I'm going to read this out. "I wasn't doing some gameplay QA like some people here claim. I was on audio regression and subtitle validation for a few months. Basically, replaying random world interactions and making sure lines triggered correctly, matched subtitles, didn't overlap, etc. And I don't think people understand how insane the NPC dialogue system is in this game. Everyone assumes it's like GTA 5, where you have a pool of lines and they just shuffle. It's not that anymore. It's structured like labeled and categorized at a level I've never seen. We had access to a debug browser where you could literally see the IDs and tags, stuff like," hopefully Nathan can put this on the screen because it's a lot to read out, "NPC/outside/to/entrance/greeting/variant/C and NPC/store/clerk/fear/low/recognition." Now, what all of this basically comes down to is what this poster is saying is all of the different things and interactions that NPCs are going to do in the world of GTA 6 have specific tags. So like this relates to, is the NPC outside? Tick. Are they outside of an entrance to a shop? Tick. Are they going to greet the person? Tick. Is there a variant of that? Yes. Which one are we doing? It's A, B, C, D, E, F, whichever one. Same with the other one. Is the clerk in a shop? Yes. Are they scared for any reason? No. Therefore, play this sound. And all of those things, obviously, those parameters, and there could be even more of those parameters, means there are a huge amount of different voice lines and interactions that you may be having with NPCs in the world. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're going to get into this in a bit. Well, right now.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a problem with that first bit, that when they said, "I'm on audio regression and subtitle validation," basically replaying random world interactions, making sure lines are triggered, etc. Now, people in the comments might have more experience with QA than I do.
Yeah.
I don't have much of it, but I don't know why someone checking audio regression and subtitle validation would have access to this kind of information on the screen. Discuss.
So, I'll carry this for saying I not only have limited knowledge of this, I've literally never been a QA tester. So I have no practical experience of doing this. I only know from reporting on video games for like 20 odd years and incidences like this when they come up. And I guess a general sense of truthiness. So the bit you'd said about why would they have access to, as you said, what, the dev build?
Well, like from my understanding of audio regression and subtitle validation is you go up to a thing, you make that thing happen, and you check that the audio that is meant to be playing is playing, and that the subtitles are popping up are the same as the audio that is also being read out at the same time.
Yeah.
You can do that with dev tools, like do a thing, instance of it, reload it, do it again, reload it, do it again. I just don't know why you would be seeing the screen flooded with those prompts while you're doing that, because they're not then going back to go, maybe they are, like subtitle __ B92 wasn't the same as audio level B8, for example. Yeah. I just don't see that happening in this kind of role, but maybe I'm way off.
I honestly, I can't say that you're right or wrong. I don't know. Yeah, hey, folks, you decide. I can see the logic in, like, say there's, like we say, there's like a string of 6 variables, and each of them can be from a pot of 10, 100, 50, whatever. So even you could do a statistician could do the maths on the number of variables that would create based on the size of each pot and the number of variables, and it may come to a number where someone intelligent could go, no processor could handle that amount of variables in real time across multiple X, Y, and Z. So there's an element of that where you go, is this computationally sound? That's not for me to do, because that's complicated, but I feel like that's one part of it. Another might be, in terms of, like you say, checking the actual line. I don't know if it would be a sensible thing for, like, if you're checking the audio, I imagine you'd be checking the audio sounds like the way it's described. So, like, if it's this condition state, if it's basically saying, you're a store clerk and you've just seen me kill a man outside.
My fear is now high.
Yeah, your fear is high. And probably the voice would be, I don't think, if I came to the front door and I just killed a man with a shotgun and blown his head off, you wouldn't go, "Good day, sir." That would be a thing you would check. And then you might go, yeah, this guy shouldn't say "Good day, sir" and tip his hat because I just blew a guy's head off with a shotgun. Whatever the logging process is, there should be a way to validate the state versus the audio. I'm really out, I'm offshore here. I don't know how this is done, but you have to be able to go, is this doing what it's supposed to do? And the process by which it does it, I don't know. And would it allow as you say, I've never heard of a role which is this niche to do something that, audio regression and subtitles. I've never heard that as a role before. Doesn't mean it might have existed for 20 years. I've just never heard it highlighted in this way.
And it probably isn't, that's not the role that you're applying for. It's probably something in the audio department that is.
Yeah, and it's like some sub niche of an activity
so
within
I was
that.
Doing this.
Yeah, I don't see many posts for audio regression and subtitle QAs.
No, but hey, this guy now prime candidate for the job.
Yeah, so, but I agree or neither can disagree with the idea that I don't know how verifiable that is. I don't know how the QA process works. Maybe there's people listening who have either done QA for other games or have literally done it for Rockstar and might be under lifetime NDAs in fear of death. But either way, do reach out to us.
Yeah, gtavio@gmail.com. Just tell us that you don't want to say your name out loud and we'll verify what you're saying.
Yeah, and then it's less of I think, you think. But I think you're valid to raise that as my brow is raised.
It is slightly raised.
Yes, I agree.
What we do know, though, because you've been looking into this, and anyone who's subscribed to the newsletter, gamesradar.com/newsletter, click on the GTA 6 button, will know that you dissected a bit of this in the newsletter last week in terms of how it relates to Red Dead and the amount of lines that were in Red Dead and how it was all recorded, etc., etc. So it's a massive project.
Yeah. So it's almost, you can almost put to one side, how truthful is this post? It's really hard to verify, and we'll probably go back and forth with that again in a minute. But what is true, is it fair to assume that GTA 6 is going to contain a really in-depth and nuanced NPC system? Yes, because the goal is clearly realism. In other conversations we've had on the show, we've talked about, and I can't remember the name of it, the blended animation system, where the character will adjust what it's doing based on objects in the world. I can't remember what that was called. Can you? I couldn't remember the name.
I want to say something like locomotion.
Yeah, I think that's right. Something like that. And then it's basically saying it's creating realism based on an awareness of the environment.
Yes.
So as an operating principle, for me, having that in visuals aligns with having something similar in NPC dialogue because it's all part of building a realistic world that reacts in the way.
Totally agree. And I think that's the bit that we're like, we can say is truthful.
Yes.
That GTA 6 will have a very complex and in-depth NPC dialogue system that builds on what we had in Red Dead 2 and goes above and beyond it. And this is what that could look like.
Exactly.
It's just whether it does actually look like this.
And so what we can do is benchmark against what we know to be true based on previous games. This is where I did a little bit of digging. So if you look at Red Dead Redemption 2 as a benchmark, it's from the same studio. Arguably, some people say the most realistic, immersive open world ever created. And part of that is due to the way NPCs interact, their daily schedules, the way they talk to you, the way they react. So there's probably, you would only assume the GTA 6 system is going to be 8 years down the curve from that. It's going to be significantly advanced, right? So I think all those are safe assumptions. Now, even for Red Dead Redemption 2, and we know this because Dan Houser spoke to the entertainment site Vulture in a really sweeping interview about the making of Red Dead. Now, that's behind a paywall. So I didn't pay for it. But I did, thanks to our friends at Games Radar, who scraped and stole that content for us.
Don't worry, you don't have to pay for it, listeners. We're going to read it out right now.
To praise some of what Dan Houser said. So he said, basically, Rockstar hired 1,200 actors from the American Labor Union SAG-AFTRA, who we've talked about on previous shows, with 500 actors recording mocap for 6 years, according to Houser, and 700 more recording dialogue. So you've got 700 actors just recording dialogue alone over a period of years. That is absolutely boggling. And he says, Rockstar focused on using talented actors whose voices you don't recognize in order to provide a better sense of immersion. Now, that I think, I might be misquoting there, I think that came up to a sum of about 500,000 lines of individual dialogue I'd read. That's really a lot, right?
It's really a lot.
But then where you can see how much of a really a lot that is compared to these dialogue trees we're talking about in this example, as I say, it's really a maths problem. Like if you said there's 200 locations, X, Y, Z, it's just, you could almost map out how many different pieces of dialogue you need based on 6 states of a set number of variables each. I haven't done that maths yet. I won't do it on air because it'll humiliate all of us, debase us all. But then you could probably work out, well, how much dialogue would GTA 6 need? And then reverse engineer. And if it took 700 actors over X years to do that, how many is it going to take to do, et cetera, right? You can work all that out. Now, if you go even further back into history, GTA has always featured intelligent NPCs. Now, not intelligent probably by the modern parlance, but I'd put this in the newsletter. There's a really great video on YouTube. It's like a series of NPCs reacting to car honks. And
that better be the title of the video.
I think it is. It's basically that. And it just basically goes from like you in the 2D version honking and like there's a dispersion, but nothing else. And over the games as they progress, and I am slightly mangling this, they disperse in more realistic ways. They'll shout at you, "Hey, buddy!" And like it just gets better and better to the point where, pedestrians get angry and some of them will like come for you and swing for you. You can see that intelligence in just that one instance of the car honk. So there we go. So the car honk metric, GTA 6 has improved. GTA has improved to up until GTA 6, I mean.
Yeah. And I think, just going to wind this back a little bit, what is maybe incredible to me here is that there are, let's say, for Red Dead 2, there were 700 people recording dialogue, 500 people doing motion capture. Let's say that GTA 6, they've doubled that.
Yes.
Just pretend.
Yeah.
1,000 actors, another 1,400 doing dialogue. That's 2,500 people who have in some way interacted with GTA 6 up to this point. And yet, I don't think I've seen any posts from any of those people going, I just did a bit of mocap for Rockstar. I walked across a road, or probably not. I walked across a big green room with some balls stuck on me. Not sure what it was for. Now, there's probably a way to do that and not tell them that it's actually for a Rockstar game, right? So they're just coming in.
Yeah.
They go, you have to do this, walk across here, say this line. I guess only the people who are like interested in video games and GTA 6 and are one of these people may be able to put one of those NPC bits of dialogue together in their brain and go, I had to, like, I mean, they're never going to be saying the lead characters' names. So that's like, and it's probably just like, what we want you to do is have a typical conversation that you would have if you met someone outside of this bar in Florida. Just ad-lib it. So there's probably a way to reverse engineer that. Like if one of these people did it and was like now thinking about it, like, actually, I was told that I should be, hanging out or scared while someone was robbing a diner or something. Maybe that was GTA 6 related. I can't actually remember what any of the lines were, but I remember I had to be scared. So maybe that's why none of this has come out. But I think it's like, it's kind of incredible that there's like potentially over 2,000 people who are definitely under NDA, but might feel like it doesn't really matter that much because all I did was do a bit of walking, or I had to like roll around for a little bit or pretend to be shot in the leg, etc., etc. That none of that has been posted online or on any forums or anything. Like, I'm surprised.
It's kind of amazing,
and I well think, done, Rockstar.
And I think it's exactly both the things you said. It's a mixture of probably really onerous NDA and not enough information to fill in the blanks. Like it's an anonymous interactive project. Say the lines. You're a store clerk. Say the lines. Who am I speaking to? Don't need to know. Just say the lines. Yeah. But there must be someone out there who said something. Maybe did somebody say something a bit telltale, like, "Why am I greeting the man and the baby?" Or something where you go like, something that if you with a GTA lens, you might go, "There's a baby," or something like that.
Yeah, or like you get, and this is almost certainly going to be in the game. I'm going to say 90%. You get like some talk radio stations where someone has to ring up the radio and be like, it's like, oh, you're speaking to a radio host. They've got these points of view. You have to say this thing and have a conversation. It might be like, that feels a little bit like a GTA 6 radio station. Possibly.
Yes.
But it could, like you say, also feel like a lot of other things.
Yes.
So basically what we're saying is if you've done one of these things in the past 5 years, just send us all of the information.
That email inbox is its own NDA. I'm not sure that's legally binding. I'm just saying we're very good at maintaining a confidence. So if you want to get in touch, please do. If you think you've been psyoped into recording GTA 6 dialogue, please let us know.
If you've done some mocap work in Rockstar New York or a New York casting place, I don't know what you call them. It's not an agency. If you've responded to a New York casting call, there we go. That's better. That felt a bit like GTA 6. Get in touch.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And I guess there's one final overlay on all of this. Again, outside of the verification of it, related to, is there any other way we can sort of verify this has a precedent or is real? This is the bit where I feel the glare of Rockstar's sniper rifles in what we can or can't say. And I danced around this a bit in the newsletter. I think what's completely legitimate to say is that we do know more about GTA 6 than we probably should, because back in, was it 2022, September 2022, we had that massive leak of 90 snippets of gameplay. Now, Rockstar did their best to erase them from the internet. The internet, like an elephant, never forgets.
No, and it keeps popping up those thoughts on various
and it has like
places.
Drives and repositories and PDF files that contain all of the things. So even though finding the clips is a bit harder than it was, I think they can still be found. And I would say what definitely can be found is massive list logs of everything that happens in those videos. Now, again, we can't talk about some of those things for fear of maybe Rockstar's grasp getting a bit tighter. But I don't think, given that this has been very widely public reported and it's available with a simple Google search, I think there's things you see in those leak videos I think we could talk about.
I mean, what you can definitely say is, even if you look at Red Dead 2 and you can go up to people, there are different dialogue choices that you can make with those people. You can be friendly or you can threaten them, etc., etc. I would be 100% certain that system or a advancement of that system was going to be in GTA 6, where whoever you are playing can go up to people and do different actions depending on what you want to do at that time, whether it's friendly greeting or threaten or rob or whatever the parameters are going to be. And this dialogue structure could lead into that kind of interaction.
I'm going to sneeze. It's because I'm about to say something that's slightly dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think you can go further, and it's not giving too much away, I think, to say there were videos. And in fact, the most famous of the leaked videos was of a store being robbed. And in that, there's two characters who one might say were the lead characters of GTA 6. I'm not saying they are, but they might be, because it's a man and a woman. And they're essentially managing a room full of NPCs whilst performing the robbery. And were you to believe everything in this leak, again, verifiably hard to know, it's essentially, that they were interacting with the characters and trying to stop them behaving a certain way. And there were other bits where it looked a bit like, similar to The Sims, characters almost had little icons above their heads as if there was like some thought process going on as things were happening.
Yeah, and to be clear, this is like within a big bunch of debug settings.
Yes.
So when you're actually playing the game, people aren't having little things above their heads.
It's not The Sims. I can't be clear enough about how leaked work in progress those trailers were. But I'm just saying, were you looking to draw a link between advanced NPC behavior and what can be observed from videos taken from 2022? You could do that.
You're right that there might be a way that you could see that and then see something that was either being triggered or not, depending on what you were doing. If you left someone alone for too long, it might change their state from going from one thing to another, and then they'd have different reactions.
And almost like they're making informed decisions based on the current state of the environment they're in.
Yeah, like what they're seeing, what's happened,
which is completely logical. And like even going back to, and I'd put this in the newsletter, even going back to The Last of Us 2014, they had like a crowd NPC system where NPCs would talk to each other, they'd share information, they'd work in packs. There was this sort of intelligence and those sorts of dialogue trees were in games even back then. That's obviously not a Rockstar game, but game devs crib notes. That kind of system seems to me to be a shoe-in to be in GTA. It's just is the level of complexity going to match what the leaker says?
Yes, and this leaker in particular.
Yes, and this specific leaker.
Because as you say, all of the things that you've just talked about are listed in their post on Reddit. They're saying there are entire folders dedicated to basically the same line, but in a slightly different tone, like clerk, alarm, call, neutral, call panicked, call whispering, which is them just being in different states and doing the same action, but doing it slightly differently, whether they're, I guess being held at gunpoint, or they're just like someone's left and then they're neutral, or someone's in the shop and they're trying to be like, hey, you should call the police.
Yeah.
Please, quickly call. Like that kind of thing. And I think that's a way of also saying this whole post could have been reverse engineered from those 2022 leaks and gone, like you've just said, I can see these kind of things happening. It's plausible that this kind of thing could be in the game. I'm going to just write how I think that stuff is structured and present it as I've been doing work on the game.
Yeah, and I think this is where, again, I'm not putting too much credence on this, but when I looked at this entire post, there were comments under this post saying, shut up, bro, this is pure AI slop. It's all written by AI. So I ran it through a couple of LLM language detection models. I'll be honest, some of them I just didn't believe. Right, I use like Grammarly and different ones. Now, ChatGPT, where this is were this AI, I'd say that's most likely where it would have originated. And I don't know how good ChatGPT is at marking its own homework, right? But obviously, it does know how it thinks because it's it, right? And its summation of the entire post was, it felt like 70 to 75% of it felt human written, and there's 20 to 25% where it wasn't sure. And then you could go down the road of saying it's a human-generated lie, for example, where the dialogue strings were possibly reverse produced using something like ChatGPT, where you could have gotten a ChatGPT and said, I'm creating a hoax on a forum. and I want to talk about the NPC dialogue that I know is complex and this. Can you create for me a plausible dialogue string?
We should do that.
Or maybe we should.
Did you do that?
Well, I did kind of. I can't talk about it or show it on screen because it looks like I've lost my mind. But I got it to do things like, show me an example of this in a typical AAA. Show me an example of it in Red Dead. And it couldn't do some of those things. It couldn't find the source files.
Yeah.
I also got it to like explain to me if the dialogue was structured this way, is it logical? Is this how certain systems look? And like it said things to me. I'm not going to read all of this because it's going to sound insane. And also you've got to bear in mind, ChatGPT says things. Then you sometimes go, I know that's not true. And it goes, you got me.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. But what it did say was, it says basically like the dialogue, it described the dialogue system as presented in the leak, question mark, as extremely believable. It says it's standard in large-scale dialogue systems. Structured naming is easier filtering, debugging, and triggering. This dialogue represents state, context, and variant in one ID, which it liked. It says the mirrors how other tools operate, such as WWYs, Fmod, and possibly proprietary Rockstar tools in the way they compare content. I'm out of my depth there. I don't know. I don't use Fmod or WWYs, and I don't program games. So someone, as I say, this is really, if I'd had more time, I'd have reached out to a few developers and said, what is your opinion of this? As a piece of, as you say, is it a full dialogue string? Is it made up? Is it the end part of a larger dialogue tree? I literally don't know. But the ChatGPT read of it was highly plausible.
Fine. All right. Well, let's do some more of that research. Stay tuned in the next few weeks, and we'll hopefully get in touch with some people and let you know what they think. I'm still a little bit on the fence about it, especially like that. There are entire folders dedicated to basically the same line. Like, why are they now getting access to folders within the whole structure? Like, if they are getting a debug list of all of these things on screen, why are they then able to go, I'll just go into the audio folder and just click around on some things? Like, it feels weird that would be happening for a tester of that level. But, whatever, feels a bit dodgy.
And I could believe that it's fake. Let's put it that way. I'm not an 87%, like I said earlier. I'm probably more of even as high as a 60. Maybe this is the Mulder and Scully. I want to believe, because we see a lot of leaks on the show, right? And every single week there's a lot of leaks. And I see a lot of them are just hot BS. And this might be hot BS. I just think it's uniquely constructed.
Yes.
Partly in terms of the language used to appear on the forum. It's very colloquial, slightly non-LLM-y. All of that is a bit weird. And like, don't get in touch with me. I know it's hard to verify. And then the dialogue strings are so weirdly specific. Might be, but it still might be fake.
Yeah.
It all might be fake. It's just, I think, as a rumor to discuss, it's one of the more interesting ones, but it doesn't make it true of itself.
For sure. And I'm sure someone who's modded Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC will be able to see how close this is to the code they used in that and what improvements might have been made for GTA 6. So if that is also you, please get in touch with us at GTAV O'Clock on Twitter, GTAVI'Oclock@gmail.com. I'm going to stamp this post for me as fake post, real concept. I believe that this thing is in the game. Not so far convinced that this person has seen the game.
Yeah. I'm going to stamp unverifiable post, real whatever we said.
Real concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
right. Now this bit of the show is very cool. Dan, do you watch those shows or YouTube channels where people go to car boot sales and then they buy stuff
you said that.
and resell it, or like buy it and go, I bought this for $5 and look, it's worth $100. Ever watch any of them? Watch any of those car boot sales?
I do not on the regular watch these shows. Have I watched them? Yes.
There's one in the UK called Bargain Hunt, which isn't quite the same because they're kind of looking for antiques and normally most of that stuff is trash. But somebody has supposedly gone to a car boot sale in Edinburgh, picked up a debug Xbox 360 that has a 90% or 95% complete beta build of GTA 4 on it. So far, by digging into it, it's revealed different radio stations and cut songs, a silenced pistol and some unused weapons, unused logo models, a cut zombies. They've written minigame, but it's like zombie-esque material. You know, there's like blood on tables and that kind of stuff. A ferry model that we saw in the first trailer, and beta character models and more. There's also an early map design in there. And the Liberty ferries, the thing that you saw in trailer 1, I think it was, of GTA 4 with the ferry coming across the sea, has been restored. So there's loads of stuff in it. And it's kind of incredible. And another weird Rockstar leak for 2026. Did not have this on my bingo card. But incredible that this is now out in the world. Now, it was on a debug Xbox 360, which means it wouldn't have worked on any other machines. It's now been reverse engineered to work on a retail Xbox 360, which means it will probably be all over the internet soon, and anyone can probably just play it on their 360. There's a couple of interesting things here. I like the ferry model from the first trailer that was cut. And in fact, Obi Vermage, he actually commented on one of the posts who said, oh, look, we've restored the ferry. And he said on X, the ferries were cut late on. They were supposed to be moving back and forth kind of like a train. We figured there would be too many issues with it, mostly the collision and AI of PEDs and vehicles sitting on top of another vehicle. We ditched them even though they were in the trailer. So this feels like a very, very late game decision of you would have been able to move around the world of GTA 4 across I guess it's the sea, but you know, on a ferry by driving your car onto the ferry, and then it would have driven you across to the other island and you would be able to get off. They cut that. He was also asked, would you be able to share anything on the cut zombies mode? Because this build contains animation for zombies, pickup models, and even a hospital bed with blood on it. And he said, I don't remember anything about zombies in 4. Artists were always trying to put zombies in things. Not something that got very far. It was probably an experiment that didn't work out. There were a lot of those.
Yeah.
And that's funny. That they're just like always at Rockstar, just like an artist is going, but what about zombies? Look, I've done some designs.
Just say yes. They're already done.
Yeah, I've put them in already. Look, it's already ready to go.
Yeah.
Do that kind of stuff. So like, I mean, look, as I say, it's running on a retail 360 now. There's going to be lots more that people are going to discover as part of this. I don't think there's going to be any massive reveals in here because it's a 95% complete build. So there's bits where like the dialogue is not quite final. And in some of the clips you can hear like the dialogue director saying like 3, 2, 1, action. And then they say the lines and then they're like, great, okay, move on. That is like still in this build, which is fun. But I don't think there's going to be any like, oh, look at these 8 missions that actually ended up last minute being cut. I could be wrong, but I don't think at that stage of the process, I think it was more just going to be bug refinement, that kind of thing. But let's see. What is really interesting to me here is the story behind this whole thing. So let's talk about this. How do you think a Rockstar Xbox 360 ends up at a car boot sale in 2026?
Well, we talked about this last night off air. My view would be, based on my own experiences of like having accrued merch and stuff and ephemera from working in media offices, and like the way that things that at one time feel like the highest security item in the world, over time increasingly feel like an obsolete piece of junk. And my honest view would be probably, and there's a twist to this tale actually when we get to who we think this might belong to, but what would normally happen is someone gets something, it sort of gets left in their possession, possibly they leave the company and it's a thing that lived in their bedroom, and eventually over time it just feels old and out of date and it gets moved literally to their garage. This is what happens with my stuff. loads of my cool merch because of space and having children, and my wife saying that is an abomination. Hide it in the garage.
You're going to need to move the life-size replica of the Red Dead 2 horse
Yeah.
out of the living room.
Not almost, but not quite that, right? And then those things go to the garage, and at some point you have to make a call on, can I physically continue to hoard these things? And it might be like my wife's done car booting. She's gone, I'm going to the garage to clean out a load of stuff. Anything I need to keep. And you're like, oh, I don't know what's in there. No, it's fine. Take it. So, one of the many ways this could have happened is just, again, a natural migration of a thing that used to belong at work, went home, someone forgot about it, people left the company, HR forgot to check. Over time, the bonds and ties that meant it was a high security item that lived as part of a company just got forgotten because the bonds that attached it through people or process got eroded. And then it goes from a physical object that lives in one room to another to a garage and then just gets put into a car boot sale. I don't know what this is. It's maybe worth something. It's gone. Could be something more, well, not banal, something more dramatic. Like it was from a family who got divorced and the items get split up and someone accidentally ends up with some items and goes, I don't want to keep person X's old shit. I'm going to sell it.
Mm.
And then you end up with an item that is actually this mad piece of historical ephemera ending up in the public domain by accident. I think there's lots of plausible ways that could happen.
Yeah, and I'm actually not saying that I don't think this happened. I think this probably did happen. I just found it kind of surprising that it has actually happened because also it has a asset number sticker on it. It still has a Rockstar sticker on it that says asset number. I can't remember it offhand, but it's 892 587 whatever. I would imagine that there's a potential that Rockstar could see that and immediately trace it back to who that originally belonged to. If their record keeping is, pretty litigious, I can see them being able to go at someone within the company in the IT department, just typing that in, Xbox 360, and it immediately just pinging up, this belongs to this person. Now, I don't know the ramifications of selling your debug Xbox 360 for £5 at a car boot sale with a load of unreleased material on it, but I can imagine they might not be good. But as you said, maybe it depends on whose console it is and if they can trace that back to whoever that person is. Now, the interesting thing on this point is that if you boot the console up to the dashboard, the name of the console is les_home. Now, that could obviously be anyone's console, but it does kind of imply that it could be Leslie Benzie's home Xbox 360, the debug version of it. And if that's the case, it's even more amazing that, at that time, the head of Rockstar, was doing, and I can believe that he has an Xbox 360 debug in his house for doing this exact kind of thing. I'm going to take the latest build home, shove it on my debug Xbox, I'll play it through, I'll do some bug checking, etc., etc. Then, like you say, maybe it just gets left in the house, it goes off on various paths and ends up in this car boot sale. But I would imagine that if it is Leslie Benzie's 360, that there would have been somebody along the line saying, wait a minute, should we really get rid of this? It does feel like it was important at some point. Maybe it's definitely worth more than £5. Put £50 on it at a car boot.
Yeah.
But, whatever. I think it's an incredible story either way.
Yeah, incredible. And it's legit, right? Like the fact it's legit is amazing. It's not going to unearth any Thunderbolt revelations. It's just a fantastical tale. And also a tale of like how things that today we regard as, were a GTA 6 debug machine to fall into a car boot
Our
sale.
hands.
Yeah, our hands. It would be a spectacular story that would dominate the airwaves. 10, 20, 30 years from now, it's a curio of time that no one gives a flying F about, probably. So like all of these things, it's just time erodes that sense of importance and security and permanence.
Well, we'll keep tabs on this one and see if anything does come up that is like super exciting. I will say there's nothing else on that debug. It looks like the guy who bought it has looked through it. The only thing on the hard drive is this version of GTA 4. There's no like half builds of 5 on there or anything like that. It's just GTA 4. So they're not going to find any other Rockstar games or snippets in there. But there could be something that comes out of cut content from 4.
And we don't know Leslie's Chivo score, do we?
No, that's
That's
unfortunately
not on there.
And I think, I might be wrong, but you can rename these consoles if you want. So if you really wanted to like hammer home this story, maybe you would just rename it Les _home as a bit of a Easter egg. Who knows? Let's see. And next up, to bring us full circle, the next Take-Two investor call is fast approaching. It's going to be in May, we assume, which is about 4 shows away, people. Only 4 shows away. I just wanted to take a quick moment to see if we still believe the November the 19th release date is on track, and if it's going to change, when might that change happen? Now, I know at the very top of the show, you've almost foreshadowed this by saying, what is your percentage score of it happening? So, okay, I think we both think that it's still on track. I just wanted to throw some things out there of when the other delays have happened, and if there was going to be another kink in the road, when it might happen for GTA 6. So the first trailer, as we all know, released in 2023. That at the end said GTA 6 is coming in 2025. No specific date. Fine. Trailer 2 was on May 6th, 2025, and said the game was coming out May 26th, 2026. Good, we've got a date. We're excited about it. Then, November the 4th, 2025 was this delay announcement to November the 19th, the current date, 2026. The interesting thing here, I think, is the gap. The gap between it originally being May 26th, 2026, which would have been next month.
Yeah.
Will we play in that game?
Yeah.
To the November the 19th, to the November the 6th gap is a 6-month gap. So they had a period of time up until where everyone thought it was coming out. 6 months before the supposed release, they went, you know what, we're going to need some more time. Which means that I think if we're going to get another delay, if we're taking that historical evidence into account, means that, unfortunately, May would be the time to announce a further 6th month or however many months delay to the game. May, as I just said, is also the time for the investor call. So I think it's going to be around May 4th, although that's like Star Wars Day, so maybe they'll avoid that. But typically these are on a Tuesday, I feel. So I think it's going to be like early May. So we're looking at like May the 4th is a month. No. Okay, May the 5th is a Tuesday. May the 12th, also a Tuesday. Sometime around then, I feel is going to be like the tipping point between either a double down on, we're extremely confident, the game's coming, open the floodgates, let's start the marketing campaign, or I've got some news for you guys. You're not going to like it, but we do need a few more months.
Yes, I agree. I think, and if you look at last year's investor call, that was on Thursday, May the 15th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, this year, that would be, if it was exact, we don't know, Thursday, May the 14th, which would put the 12th, like it's Tuesday the 12th. Again, assuming the law of Rockstar Tuesdays, they like to announce things on a Tuesday. Tuesday the 12th would be 2 days before the investor call, or the 5th, 9 days before. And then I guess it really depends on the nature of the thing they have to say, if indeed they say anything. So like you say, if it was a delay, I think they'd probably delay the delay announcement until a day or two before the investor call, which is similar to what happened last time. The information goes out there, then Strauss-Zelnick heads into the investor call with the bad news already priced in, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he can then talk about, I know I said I was confident 3 times, and what I meant is this.
What I meant is I'm now extremely confident.
Yeah, I'm really confident.
Definitely this time.
Now, another thing that could happen, apart from the delay, yay or nay, is it becomes not impossible that pre-orders could launch 6 months out from the game. And I've said this previously on the show, there's some logic in Strauss going into the next investor call armed with incredibly robust pre-order indications. And then they may not state them publicly, but if you get asked, he'd go, we're seeing double the uptake of GTA 5. Market hears that and goes, wow. Take-Two, invest.
Share price.
Great. Yeah.
To the
like
moon.
what that's potentially a powerful message going into the next investors call. And then it would be a case of how long before the investors call would they need to announce pre-orders for it to be significant. Now, I think given that it's GTA, even if they said it on Tuesday the 12th and by the 14th, they'd have a pretty good idea how the velocity of things were looking.
Yeah, it's just whether, I guess, internally there's enough people to get that data together to then present it to then write
exactly.
a narrative
It's a
around
very tight turnaround,
Yeah.
but there might be a way to hedge it and go, we haven't got finalized data, but I can say it's looking ahead of schedule or whatever they want to say, right? There's Strauss is the master of that kind of coded language. So that could happen. Now, the probably the most optimistic scenario is some version of that. Pre-orders are live, plus it's new screens, trailer 3. That's the most optimistic version of it. And then you could maybe say May, sort of the summer, like they've said the marketing's going to begin. Really, it's spring. So I mean,
it's 6 months out.
But yeah,
So it's kind of just about 6 months out.
Maybe. I think you could rationalize that because the windows are loose for a reason. So best case scenario, I think trailer 3 pre-orders have begun. Worst case scenario, you're waiting until probably March the something, 2027. Let's pray that isn't true. But it like you're correct to flag. It's a date to watch for because the earnings call is just a big beat. And then after that one, they've only got one more before the planned release.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I think this is the tipping point.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
They can't delay 3 months out or whatever it's going to be by then because it's just too to the wire.
Although they did do that with GTA.
Yeah, I know. So they could literally do anything.
Yeah, they could.
But playing the balance of probabilities, I think this is the call. Yeah. This is the 6 months out. This is the moment to say something significant. Now, they could delay the pre-order one, maybe. But even then, 3 months out from the game, they might say we can have a longer run at that. We can run pre-orders for, and we've talked about this on the show previously, 4 or 6 months, whatever before.
Yeah. So I guess, keep focused on early May because something may or may not.
Tuesday 5th, Tuesday 12th.
As we've discussed before, do you know what happens on Sunday, the 3rd of May?
No, because I've forgotten.
It is the Miami Grand Prix.
Oh.
Now, that doesn't feel like a significant enough event to do anything spectacular, but there will be a lot of eyes on that location, as we've discussed before. It's a Sunday. It doesn't really fit any of the timelines, but I would be incredibly surprised if, like last year, their pre-race branding and advertising didn't in some way try to lean into the GTA connection. They did it last season. I'm sure they're going to do it again this season because I think last season they were like, this might be our last opportunity. Turns out they get another bite of the cherry because of the delay. But I can see something happening like that. Or even, instead of one of the support races, you just get a car to drive around the track, like Jason and Lucia's red car, just not with them in it. They're not waving
like
out
the
of the
royal
window.
Family or the Pope.
But you some kind of car show off, some kind of, I don't know. But hey, the timing, all of those dates seem to align. Either if there's nothing at the Formula One, I would say those first 2 weeks in May could be very exciting.
Mm.
Let us know what you think about that and everything else we've discussed in the comments below. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of those services, hop over to the YouTube comments. Let us know. Always good to hear from you all as well. You can get in touch with us on Twitter, GTAVOclock, or via email, gtavio'clock@gmail.com. And this Friday, there will be another edition of the newsletter. He says, looking at Dan, even though it is Easter.
It's undecided.
It's undecided.
Because it is Easter, Good Friday in the UK, and I'm actually on holiday next week. So there might not be a newsletter for a week, possibly 2.
But if you want to get all of that information when it does roll back around, you can sign up by going to gamesradar.com/newsletter. You go off and do all those things. We've got some developers to talk to about dialogue trees. So we will do that, and then we'll be back next week for another episode of GTA 6 o'clock.